We are here today with Dr. Hanna David, counselor of gifted children and their families. Dr. David has authored over 200 articles and book chapters, as well as 17 books. One of the latest of these is this newly published book, Emotionally, Socially, and Learning Disabled Gifted Children, Theory and Treatment. And I'm going to ask Dr. David several questions about her new book. Dr. David, hello.
Hello.
How did you choose the title of your book, and what made you decide to write on this specific topic of emotionally, socially learning disabled gifted children?
In the last 30 years, most of the children that I have met, of the gifted children I have met, have been learning disabled or emotionally disabled. I do not want to say that all gifted children are disabled. I've been asked before, is giftedness a disability? The answer is no, with a capital N. But the children I get to meet have problems, and all these problems make them unhappy, make their parents even more unhappy, and make them unable to materialize their giftedness. That's why I've decided to write this book rather than writing anything about theory or just about treatment or just case studies, because this book combines everything. I hope it's going to combine everything, and it is a book that is needed. I've been asked many times, why don't you tell us how you do it? Who are the children you meet? So finally, at my age, I decided it's time, and this is the result.
The book includes many case studies, which is very interesting. Can you tell us why did you choose to include so many case studies in the book?
As you know, Freud started his psychoanalysis with case studies, and I believe that this decision has made him so famous and his theory so well accepted, because people like to read stories, and case studies are stories. If you tell them what to do and what not to do, or rather theories that they find unconnected to their own lives, they just stop reading, or they read and they don't remember anything. But once they tell them a story, they remember you, they remember the beginning, the end, they understand how it relates to their own lives. And I have so many case studies that I have not written about, so I had a great choice to go. And that's the decision that I'll write in length the most interesting ones.
Yeah, this brings me to my next question. Some of the case studies in the book are very long. Some are brief and some are vignettes. Why is that so? How did you choose these, their length?
Well, the stories, the case studies, which are stories, they have made the work for themselves, kind of, because sometimes, like the story of the ultra-Orthodox girl is the first case study of a girl that comes from this background. So it just, her story was very interesting for me, so I decided why not to write it in length. And once I started, I found it very hard to stop, because she is over 20 now, and I had 24 years of her life to write about, so it was very long. In other cases, I had to compare among 2 or 3 quite similar case studies, so that and to put them all, to include them all in one chapter. So this decision made me write about medium long, let's say, case studies. And in other cases, like in the cases of dyslexia, for example, which are very interesting, I decided right from the beginning not to include too many details, because there is actually no cure for this disability, and I found it very difficult to make the parents understand it and believe to the fact that we can handle it, we can help the child, but up to now there is not so much to do. So that was actually one of the reasons why in some cases I decided to write it in detail, because there is so much to do about it, and in others there is not so much to do. So that was another reason for the different in the length of each of the chapters and the case studies.
I see. So this is why you chose not to include more detailed case studies of children with more severe learning disabilities, like, as you say, dyslexia or Asperger's or similar?
It's yes and no. Nothing is so simple here. Actually, usually in such a book about learning disabilities, the most frequent one is ADHD or ADD. And people assume that it's easy or not so severe. And the case study I mentioned before of that girl that is actually a young woman now is a case study of an ADHD girl, which is actually very difficult, very complicated. So the severity is not just because of the title of the disability, but it has to do with the circumstances of each child's life, of the background, of the support, of the understanding of the teachers in school, of the community the child belongs to. That's why some of the cases I just decided to leave out and not to include, in order not to make it too complicated to the reader. In the case of Asperger's, for example, people just get to understand it now. Last week it was published that the severity of Asperger's is not as it was before, which means too many children are included in this disability. So you cannot speak about it without getting into details that are not common to the knowledge, that are not common knowledge to the public. So that was another reason why I decided to leave many case studies out. But it doesn't mean that any of the learning disabilities is more severe than the other just because of its title. It has to do a lot, as I said before, with the circumstances of each child's life.
So you say that, of course, you had readers in mind when writing, and I would like to ask, whom did you envision as your main audience? Is the book aimed at students, mental health professionals, parents of the children you discuss? Who is your intended audience?
I hope everybody that you mentioned and many more. It was really surprising. I've been publishing in Hebrew psychology in the Hebrew web of mental health professionals for over a decade, maybe 15 years already. And I found last week that I've had about 500,000 readings. So I assume that we do not have in Israel 500,000 people that belong to the community of mental health professionals, which means that everybody who is interested in gifted children, whether his own or her own, or a class or a counselor, everybody that is interested, I hope, will be able to read it, the book, because it is easily read and it's not too long. That was one of the reasons that the case studies, if we go back to them, some of them were very brief. And I hope that students will benefit from it, because there are not so many textbooks or extra books for courses of giftedness. And anybody that thinks that this book can help him is very welcome to read it.
Thank you, Dr. David. That was fascinating. And just one last question. Maybe the audience is also wondering, Why did you decide to do this interview while sitting in the lotus position?
Yes. I've heard so many times that there is body and soul, and health has to do with mental health and all these kinds of new age things, or not so new age things. And I hate to speak about them, especially with gifted children. They find it sometimes foolish and boring. And I found that when you live in a certain way, you do not have to speak about it. So if people see me on the cover of the book, where I do a pose, a yoga pose, or they see me like that, sitting like that, they understand that I'm not speaking about how you are supposed to handle your body, or what you have to do in order to keep it in a good shape. They just see that I live like that, and it delivers the message without too many words. How you should live and how you should carry yourself.
Thank you, Dr. David. I hope your book reaches a large audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you.